And hello and welcome to Ero S13 F2 Round 1 in Silverstone. I need to get and make myself a party. Sorry for everyone talking. Right, that is better. All fixed. And we are live today with a full grid for our first race in F2. With a lot of returning drivers such as Lewis Marion and Lugotze in the Red Bull. Hayden Johnson is reserving up from F3, had an impressive showing last night. Vince Vincenza is a reserve in this tier after buying the game late. And he will be in the Red Bull this evening. Let's have a look at the rest of the details required. Then we have Lex Hodder with a very impressive showing last night, qualifying in F3. Followed by Mr. Oceanic Cloth, who I can't remember your name is, sorry. Then Loic Manny, the Belgian gentleman in the McLaren. Then Zintos, the Frenchman in the Alpine, adequately enough. After that we have Cody Heath, who's a maiden driver, or a first-time driver now in the Ero, is debut this evening in the Haas. Then the Portuguese Verdade in the Kick Sauber Haas, Kick Sauber Stake, whatever the hell it's called. I'm not even going to say what that is in the RB. Alex Theodore, you all know because he races in every single tier possible. Pierre Cocula, the French gentleman, returns to Ero after some internet difficulties last season. Welcome back to you, sir. Regan McKinnon, the Scotsman, who's shown some good pace in other leagues, joins us for his first race in the Ero this evening in the Haas. You all know Callum Lyons is one of my tips to do very well this season in F2. Shown some great pace in pre-season testing. William Matthews, another Ero regular. Welcome back to you, sir, the Dutchman. Then Amiibo. Hello. I'm not sure who you are. I'll find out your name in a second. Dan Dale returns after a bit of a sabbatical as well. Good to see you back, sir. Our lobby host, Gustav Scherbert, in the beautiful Scarlet Ferrari. The German man who's doing a lot of ACC recently has graced us with his presence once again. Then a man who needs no introduction in the Mercedes, Mr. Lucas Zafraniak. Everyone knows Lucas from his fantastic comms in F4, and he joined me last night in F3 for some quality insight into the grid there. And finally, Samuel Newman returns to full-time racing in Ero. I think he is the owner of ORL or Slipstream Racing, one of the two other leagues. So great to see you with us. He gave up a commentating role actually to do this, to race full-time with us on Saturday nights. So thank you very much to you, sir. So sometimes beginning to fly into the track now. We have the first 8 drivers setting times with Zintos, Mikael Raskutin, I think your name is, currently on provisional pole with a 126.492. Let's try and find someone on a flying lap as Lugos has just finished his. Vince Vincenza just about to cross the line on the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, and he's going to go provisionally P6 with a 127.56. William Matthews sticking his Aston Martin into P5, and Baxi Dandale going to P7 at the moment. And Loic going P7 now as well. So, we're just trying to find actually someone just starting their lap here. As Samuel Newman going into the Vale chicane now, into Club. Probably the heaviest traction zone here in F124 on this track, which apparently has been redesigned and remodeled. A lot of irregular bumps and bruising on the track, so to speak. A lot of drivers have complained about it, and for some reason the yellow flag or caution sign is just going bonkers in the top left hand corner of the screen. Regan McKinnon, the last driver to set a hot lap here, and he will start. We will ride on board with him as he goes up to turn 1 into Abbey, where Joe Gagne famously cashed just a few years ago. It was all over Drive to Survive. Into turn 2 and turn 3, which is the Village Complex. Now the tricky left-hander is turn 4 here. The exit is so important here because it sets up the next quarter of a mile straight. It is the Brooklyn straight here. DRS wide open underneath the hill we go. Realises about the little bump in the corner in the turn there. Avoids that. Into Brooklyn's now Luffield. A great spot for overtaking here. Great spot for setting up the overtake onto the old start-finish straight. A lot of drivers love to take a wide berth there so they get a better exit. Now on the old rundown into Copse Corner, where I'll be sitting tomorrow watching the race live. I managed to bag myself a seat. Now into turns 11, 12 and 13, also known as Maggots and Beckets. And that McLaren needs to get out of the way. And you can just actually see the effects of the dirty area there. As we're on to the Hanger Straight, which is turn 14, now on to 15, which is also known as Stowe. Usually about 6th gear you're going to hit this in. Extends the track as much as possible. They're quite nicely done. Now into the Vale Complex. Tricky set of corners here and into Club. As you can see, we were talking about there the traction heavy zone, and that's going to be the 127s for Regan. No, 126.9. Good enough for P4 from them. Great start to their Ero career. Well done, every driver in the pits, apart from Regan, Vince, and Amiibo. I need to find out who you are, Amiibo. I'm really sorry. And that is the initial opening skirmishes here. So Amiibo is Mr. Noah Romer, and then Leandro Verdade. Leandro will do fine. And then Mikael Raskin in the Alpine. So we're going to see Gustav's already back out onto the track. Who's in the Aston Martin? Zach Smith is Mr. Oceanic Cloth. And then in the kick, VCAB, whatever you want to call it, it's meant to be Alex. It's not meant to be Alex Tudor. Gauthier Pierre. My Irish accent really coming through there. Welcome to you, sir. Anyway, so Vince is on a lap currently. The Canadian driver showed some great pace the last 2 seasons in the Ero. And he's in that Red Bull as well. Whether you believe equal performance is actually equal at the moment or not, it is a matter of perspective, but some drivers saying that gives them up to 2/10 being the Red Bull. Anyway, Vince goes provisionally P3, improving by 3/4 of a second. Great stuff from them. A few drivers queuing to start their next set of flying laps with about 12 minutes left to go in qualifying. 9 minutes, sorry, left to go in qualifying. And we do indeed see the other Red Bull driver of Lugo set out, and he's going to start his flying lap. Number 2. So we had some great racing last night in F3. We had 4 drivers basically fighting for the win in Matthew Wrightson, Alex Theodore, Kamil Blashikinski, and the eventual winner, Micromash, Mr. Louis Wood, who won on his debut at the Ero. Great stuff from him. There's another yellow flag in Sector 3 as drivers just slowing down. So it did produce quite the banger of a race last night, so we're expecting to see more of the same tonight. Lucas Afraniak, who was with me, currently sitting in P4, had a great all time there commentating. But Lewis seems to have used all his battery already as he goes into Maggots and Beckets now. Already flashing red on the back of the car and the diffuser. But yeah, some interesting things about this track is it's got the longest pit entry and exit, so you lose the most amount of time here in the pits. So undercut, very powerful here traditionally. As a result of that, pitting under the safety car is absolutely paramount if/when they come out. A lot of drivers now on the track, just 4 in the pits currently. And pit entry here is only 60 kilometers an hour, so you have to be very, very careful when entering the pits. Otherwise, you'll get that cheeky 10-second penalty, which has been upgraded from last year, as Lewis has indeed... Oh, he hasn't invalidated, he's just gone P14. As we see a VCARB parked on the Hanger Straight. I think that was Mr. Dan Dale. And behind him is the Mercedes here, as Doggy Man Hayden has retired. Or has he lost the car? It looks like he's actually lost the car. A very strange location to lose it. Regan, Leandro and Vince in the pits. The 2 Ferraris not separated by much there. And Mr. Oceanic Cloth has gone provisionally P2. Great stuff from you. I've actually forgotten your name again. I'm really sorry. Zach Smith. Sorry, Zach. With just under 7 minutes to go in qualifying, drivers will be finishing their second lap and rushing back into the pits. But we see Mikel now on his second flying lap attempt, or is he? No, he's not on a hot lap. One good change in F1 24 over 23 is actually the ERS system. It's produced a lot more attacking racing. You know, there's not so much DRS trains. Now people are going at each other, charging the battery very quickly, and attacking straight away. It's a lot better to see than when in F1 23 we'd have these long DRS trains. And as a result of that, it just wouldn't lead to very good racing at times. Now, Noah Romer goes 1.2 seconds quicker on his last lap, up to P5 to start off at the moment. Great stuff here. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton were on P1 and P2 today, respectively, from qualifying. Max Verstappen, nowhere. I think he finished 5th or 6th. Charles Leclerc, even worse, in P11. So tomorrow's race will be quite an interesting one. Silverstone always produces a good race, though. Majority of the drivers already back at the pits. Always produces quite a good race, as opposed to other tracks, say... Austria is such a so-so race. It's never really a banger. I know last week was quite good because we had all the Norris and Verstappen fighting, but usually a team will just run away with that. Like a few years ago, I think Leclerc ran away with it on the sprint weekend, and Hamilton before that, and years previous, and such and such. As you see Pierre entering the pits there, have to be very careful, as we said. So just under 5 minutes to go here, 4.5 minutes, and a lot of drivers will be just camping out in the pits now for the next 2 minutes. If you can see here, just underneath the DHL logo, you can actually see the drivers' names now. That's a new little, I think, touch this year. Looks a bit better than just the random pit crews just standing out in a T-pose. So, 19... So every driver in the pits waiting for around another minute or so, and then we'll be very busy on the track again. If you're wanting to know the score in the England match, I'm sure you're all watching it anyway. As England did equalise, it's still currently 1-1, 109 minutes into extra time. So England just didn't play very well today. It can be said reactive instead of proactive, as the commentators in the BBC said. And we do indeed see a driver coming out of the pits early, and that looks to be a V-carb. That would be Dan Dale, I think. And also Callum Lyons. So we're right on board with Callum, as he's the first driver to set another flying lap. This will probably be his last flying lap, unless he's doing 2 out laps to warm up the tyres. Tyre warmer can be a bit of an issue in this game. I noticed the last night in F4 where just no matter what you did, you could not warm the tyres up unless you were racing with them. And we do indeed see Callum weaving there on the old start-finish straight just to try and warm them up. Beautiful shots of the Ferrari. A lot of HP logo has been slapped over it, but it's still a nice looking car. Ferrari normally cook with their liveries, in fairness, to be honest. And now here we see everyone pumping out of the pits, falling out now. It takes about 2 minutes and a bit to get around the track from the pits for your out lap. So anyway, as we'll see Callum here starting away on the start-finish straight here. Lovely shot there of the Ferrari car. Heading into turn 1, also known as Abbey. Into turn 2, and then 3 and 4. Heading into the village. Every corner here just has a name. It's a very, very iconic and famous track. As Lucas said last night, it used to be an old airfield. DRS wide open, and as Callum is well aware, there's a little bump on the track there on the right hand side, so he's getting out of the way of that. But Callum is not actually racing here. He's warming up his tyres yet again. As we were saying, 2 out laps to warm the tyres up. Interesting strategy. A lot of traffic here now. Drivers will be very, very careful. Is Leandro Verdade starting his last flying lap attempt? It looks like he is. I think he's the first of the drivers to do so. Coming around Brooklands now, up to Lovefield. Beautiful shots here. You really have to extend the track there as much as you can, the exit of Lovefield, just to get the best traction and best speed out of the corner, which is the most important thing in racing. Around Copse Corner now. They've changed that ever so slightly in this game this year, where now there's a bit of extra curb to make you unsettle the car on the outside. On the inside, if you do touch the curb, you are liable to lose the car as well, as Switzerland have a chance of scoring here. And is Leandro going to get a little bit of slipstream from the McLaren there? I do not think so. I think he's a bit too far away. But yeah, just for Copse Corner, it is possible to lose the car there this year, just especially with the way the car reacts to curbs so inconsistently. That McLaren is shocking. That is, whatever that was going on there, that McLaren's after blocking Leandro horribly there, and that'll be his lap absolutely ruined. Oh, la lord. And that'll probably be a qualifying ban for whoever that was. I think that was Loic Manny. And he's up. And he's just after blocking Lugo to 2. Poor Luis. As Callum Lyons has actually lost the car in Lovefield on the exit. Further up the field, Zintos is not improving. Is Zach Smith improving on his exit from Lovefield? Lugots is a bit confused in the chat about how he was so slow. Lex Hod goes P2 at the moment with a 126.582. What can Mr. Zach Smith do as he's on the hanger straight? Zintos goes even faster now with a 126.207. William Matthews now up to P4. Gustav Scherber can only manage P7 at the moment. Regan McKinnon can only manage P9. Pierre Kokula can only manage P12. Lucas Safraniak now sticks his car in the front row in P2. What can Mr. Zach Smith do? He does not improve, and he will stay P4. So, the two Astons will be starting near enough each other, with just a few drivers left to finish. Leandro doesn't have a lap, I don't think, at the moment. And Loic is massively down this time. He's not pushing. So that will wrap up qualifying, I think. Every driver finished their laps as we will begin to race. I think it's 26 laps around here. In just outside Milton Keynes, in a little town called Silverstone. Leandro mowing the grass for the stewards and the gameskeepers. We're just waiting on you, mate. A lot of sport on telly at the moment. You've got football on, you've got F1 on, naturally enough. You have Wimbledon on as well, for those of you who like tennis. And then you've got the Euros on, you have the Olympics starting soon. Plenty of action going on at the moment in the world of sport. And that will be qualifying wrapped up nicely. As they're just wheeling the kick Sauber into the garage. And that is that. So just to round out our qualifying grid, Mikhail Raskin in P1, Lucas Safraniak P2, Lex Hod P3, Zach Smith round out our top 2 rows on the grid. William Matthews, Vince Vincenza, Leandro Valverde, I've forgotten your name, sorry. The Belgian driver in the Cash, he's the Cash App Red Bull. Gustav Sherbert, Amiibo, Regan McKinnon, Pierre Kokula, Callum Lyons, Dan Dale, Loic Manny, Alex Theodore, Lugotza. Oh, I've also forgotten your name. Samuel Newman and Hayden Johnson round out the rest of the grid. And it looks reasonably good weather conditions for the race. A few clouds in the sky, but that doesn't look to be a complete disaster. As Switzerland are after hitting the crossbar from the corner. Well, that was pretty sick by Shaqiri. He only turns up for international tournaments, doesn't he? Right, so we're just waiting for everyone to load in, get their setups organized, and we can get going. I really pray for no restarts. I'm just F3 is 1 for 1 on restarts this season already, which seemed to be a bit of a tradition last season when the second tier that raced on a Friday night always had a restart. So hopefully that does not continue over to here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are going to be racing away in F2. Season 13 of Ero is a go, with William Matthews getting the jump on his teammate. Nice to start early. Leandro Valverde also getting the jump on Vince Vincenza. Kenneth is dropping down places. Dan Dale as well. Amiibo up a place. Pierre Kokula up a place. Regan McKinnon and Reeve are fine further down the field. Everyone else looks to be getting safely away here. No major incidents or shunts further down the field. Saying that there is a Ferrari around that is Callum Lyons. It's going to drop to the back of the grid, unfortunately for them. Opening skirmishes, well and thoroughly done. Further up the field there, Lucas Safraniak looking to make a move into Brooklands, and he does actually get the move done into Luffield. Can he keep the position here, or will Mikhail Raskin fight back? He looks to not at this time. Pierre Kokula and Dan Dale fighting further down the field for P12. Everyone's still with us with all their wings attached by the looks of it, but Zintos not giving up this just yet. Very, very close to the back of Lucas into Maggots and Beckett's. Will he make the move? I don't think he will, but he's really tickling his diffuser here. Needs a good exit onto the hangar straight, and then he can attack him there, but he actually suffers from the dirty air. Massive suffering from that. Dirty air really, really powerful in this game. That's a result of that. He's lost the position to William Matthews, and William's going to have a look at Lucas here. Into Stowe, doesn't have enough track left to make the move stick. So just to recap now, let's have a look and see what drivers have made the best gains and losses. So these three are not going to be fighting all race by the looks of it. William and Lucas. William here on the inside, on the Lewis Hamilton straight. It's a drag race to turn 1 into Abbey. William's going to win this one though. He's going to have the inside line. He's going to keep it about how here comes Lucas Safraniak on the inside now, Village. Nothing between these two drivers now. Bit of a wider line there from Lucas, but I'm just trying to get a better exit here. Are they going to be using battery? That's the question. We'll be checking that in a second. The rest of the grid seems reasonably okay. Doggy Man seems to be a bit further behind us. Lucas goes onto the outside here, Brooklands. Is he going to get that move to stick? He's not. Into Luffield, still side by side. Great racing from these two here. Now Lucas has the inside line, and he's a bit of a wobble there, and Lucas is gone. Oh God. Lucky to save the car there as yellow flag in sector 2 for that. William Matthews gets away unscathed. So let's have a look at our biggest winners and losers from the opening lap skirmish. William Matthews up 4 positions. Lex Hod up 1. Mikhail Raskin up down 2. Amiibo up 6. Leandro Valverde up 2. Zach Smith down 2. Vince Vincenza down 1. Gustav up 1. Regan up 2. Pierre up 2. Dan up 3. Ken T up down 4. Samuel Newman up 6 positions. Great stuff from them. Biggest beneficiary so far. Further up the field though, we'll just get back with this as we see Lex Hott is actually spun and he is ghosting, and it seems to be a bit of chaos being ensued as a result of that. William Matthews sets the fastest lap, immediately superseded by Regan McKinnon on the medium compound tyres. Callum Lyons gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits, and his night is done. He's gone to watch the penalties for England against Switzerland. So just having a look at the driver strategy here, the majority of the field electing to start onto the mediums. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers on the softs. And William Matthews is already a second away from Amiibo. This is a yellow flag, and that's just for thingy. Just for Callum's ghosted car to come back onto the track. And we see Zach Smith is closing on Leandro Valverde. Into Cop's corner they go. He's going to have to stick with him just for this next collection of corners here. Look, Manny also closing in on Ken T. We're just going to call you Ken T, man. For P13, looking to make his charge of the field. Dan Dale also closing in Gustav Sherbert. Pierre Kakula closing in on Regan McKinnon. But here we go. Look at this. I think we just saw a car go massively wide there. Yeah, we did. I think that was Lugo's. It was Ken T, and they're just mowing the grass as they do. They're going to be hoping for a safety car. Getting further back up the field, Zach Smith sticking with Zintos. Amiibo sets the fastest lap of the race so far to 129.181. 4 laps in, 23 laps to go in the Great Britain Grand Prix. Oh, Zach just skidding there. Part of the handling model here in this year's game. Bit more arcadey than previous years. He's going to have DRS now. As Ken T gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Isfald's left the session. Let's try and get you back in. Oh no, Isfald wasn't racing. Ken T retires in the pits as well. We see 3 drivers going into Brooklands at the same time. Now side by side between the Aston Martin and the Alpine into Ludfield. Zintos and Zach. William and Amiibo fighting further up the field here. Are they going to go side by side in the Cop's corner? William going to send it. No, he elects not to. Just backs out last second here. But he gets a better exit out of the corner than Amiibo. Going to have to stick with him for Maggots and Beckett's, and then that's probably going to be a track number warning there, and then get DRS and power on through. Again, you have to be careful of the dirty air. Amiibo goes off the track here, and that's going to let Williams sail past him back for the lead of the race. Leandro Valverde a bit of ways off, and he's going to be very vulnerable to the drivers behind. As you can see, a train of about 7 or 8 cars forming here. Loic Manny very close to the back of Alex Theodore. Samuel Newman and Lugots are fighting side by side in the Stowe. Lucas Afraniak gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. That's the first casualty of the day. As there's a bit of contact from Lugots there, he goes over the curb and ends up losing traction on the car as a result of that. A lot happening here already, and further back up the field, these two are not being separated by anything at all. Amiibo going on the outside here up turn 3. Where's it turn 4? I think it's turn 4. Doesn't make a difference, but he gets a much better exit. He's going to have DRS here, and he's going to be forcing William onto the bump here. Nothing William can do about that, so he's going to be gaining a bit more time into Brooklyn. He's going to have the advantage now. Will William come back to him in Ludfield? Drifts. The car drifts out ever so slightly. There's an off-camber turn. William can't really keep up with him now at the moment. But Amiibo has used a lot of his battery. We've just seen this just last lap. The exact same situation. Lucas and Manny fighting further down the field. Cole Palmer is about to take a penalty kick for England against Switzerland. Vince Vincenza closing in on Mikel. As Cole Palmer scores the first penalty for England. I think. Yes. Somewhere went the wrong way. William gets the move done into before Stowe. DRS, assisted overtake. Nice little train here forming. Everyone seems to be keeping it relatively clean as Vince Vincenza gets past Mikel. Alex Theodore getting past Lucas Safraniak. Maybe the soft tires are starting to drop off, but these two are still battling it out into Stowe. Bit of contact there as Alex Theodore does his best Sergio Perez impersonation going over the curb. The Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc famously fought over a few years ago. Look, man, he's staying with the back of Lucas Safraniak here. And Amiibo is going to be right on the tail here, William Matthews. And William's going to be a bit of a sitting duck here. He's got a bit of a battery advantage, but Amiibo is just going to have DRS and should sail by. There's a trail of two Saubers and 2 Aston Martins, all fighting for the win here, all fighting for a podium today. Keep it clean, lads. You're doing very good to this point, into lap 6 of 26. And I think Switzerland just missed a penalty, haven't they? They have. Jordan Pickford just saved a penalty against Switzerland. We're not going to hear the end of this if England win on penalties. William Matthews staying very close to the back of Amiibo. Back of Amiibo into Kopp's corner. Into Maggots and Beckett's. These 4 drivers very close to each other with Vince waiting in the wings to capitalise on any mistakes here. Oof. A lot happening this race. Massive train. It's Dan Dale very close to the back of Lex Hodd. William has overtaken Amiibo, and Amiibo's dropping down like a stone here. His teammate Leandro Valverde is after overtaking him as well. I think Jude Bellingham stepping out to take a penalty now. Mr. Real Madrid. Regan McKinnon getting past Zintos, and they're still battling it out. Zintos getting back past him as they're going to go side by side into the village. Pim dinks it into the top. Celebration. Pierre Kakula getting past Gustav Sherbert for P8. Side by side they go into Abbey. This isn't over yet. Gustav getting the move, or getting the place back. However, on the outside of him is Lex Hodd, so he's in a bit of a Williams sandwich at the moment with the V-carb of Dan Dale waiting in the wings as well. Dougie Man gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Is that his day done? It doesn't look like it just yet. Lex Hodd getting past his teammate Pierre for P9 on the track. England scored 2 penalties, Switzerland taking their second at the moment. Dual commentary here. Regan McKinnon now up to P6, Lucas Safraniak up to P12. Zintos not giving this up, these two are going to go side by side on the exit of Luffield, down the old start finish straight into Kopp's corner. Zintos not giving a lot of space to Regan there, and he's dangerously on the curb as well. And Gustav Sherbert has overtaken Regan just before Maggots and Beckett's here. Great stuff from him. That was a bit dicey here. And again, the dirty air playing a massive part on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's. And Gustav now up to P6. Leandro up to P1, overtaking William. Again, another DRS assisted overtake into Stowe. When will it end? DRS very powerful here, it's proving. The medium runners are going to start to have an advantage here as the softs begin to die off. As we begin lap 8 of 26. Some great racing happening here at the moment. William Matthews, though, not giving this up. He's been very consistently staying at the top all race long. And he's going to have DRS here on Leandro. Amiibo, who is showing great pace up the front at 1 point, now down to P3. But it's the medium runner, Leandro Valverde, as Buyaku Saka scores for England. And they have 1 foot into the next round in Euro 2024. Lex Hodd and Gustav Sherbert fighting further down the field for P6. Great penalty by Saka, must be said. Slots into the bottom right corner. And Xhaka comes up to take the next penalty for Switzerland. Regan McKinnon on their debut in Ero, showing good pace in this F2 division. We'll be looking to get past Mikel if Mikel doesn't get a move on, but it looks of it. Lex Hodd is the proverbial cork in the bottle. He's going to be holding up all these drivers behind him. Now the softs are definitely slower than the mediums. As Zach Smith and Amiibo are fighting for P3. Soft runners really beginning to struggle by the looks of it. They need to stay in the DRS. Vince Vincenzo rapidly arriving on the scene to capitalise as well. Zaka scores. Shaqiri scores for Switzerland. It's currently 3-2 on penalties to England. And we start lap 9 now as Leandro Valverde leads F2 in its maiden round. No DNFs on the track at the moment, just 2 retirements if you're just joining us. And Zach Smith is going to have DRS here, and you're going to be expecting the medium runners to want to get past ASAP. As the soft runners now are definitely in their pitting safety car window. I think Sommer's after saving that. Is he? Doesn't look like it. I missed it. No, he's not. Okay, so England are basically third. Now, anyway, back to the racing on track. 5 drivers very close to each other here. That's the top 5 in this race. Everyone holding position for the moment. And I think a lot of the drivers are going to start to regaining battery here. Yeah. As you can see, Vince and Zach both with near max capacity or full capacity battery. William Matthews with 55%. He's going to be really pushing to get a move on here. Speaking of that, Leandro going to be overtaken by William for the lead as he has no DRS into Stowe, but he's not giving this one up just yet here. Amiibo also rapidly developing, arriving on the scene. Into Vale they go. Oh, I need a breather. And William now up to P1, DRS assisted overtake, but how long is he going to keep that position for? Is there going to be a drag race into Abbey? No, there's not. William going to keep the position for now. And we can just catch our breath. No safety car just yet. Alex Theodore and Lugotza fighting further down the field. Lugotza, speak of the devil, gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Unfortunately for them, Alex still fighting with Lewis. As Lewis has gone off the track altogether. I think that's in Brooklands. No, that's just before the Brooklands stripe. Lucas Afraniak up to P12 on the track, still with that 3-second time penalty. Is this Kyle Walker to take a penalty for England now? He does, and England are true. We'll never hear the end of it. Trent, sorry. Meanwhile, it looks to be a V-carb going slow there. As Lucas Safraniak has left the session, I'm going to try and get you back in ASAP. Oh, you hate it when people appear offline. Or is he appearing offline? I couldn't find him. Where is he? Oh God. Technical difficulties here, folks, as I try to find Lucas to get him back into the session. I can't find him for some reason. There he is. And we are back. And Leandro has overtaken William. And Zach still riding in P3. So it's been an Aston Martin kick battle for the last 8 or 9 laps or so. Lucas was there at the start. He's back in the session now. Good stuff. Vince Vincenza just been biding his time in P5. As the mediums will definitely be a lot quicker than the softs now. The interesting thing is, when the soft runners do pit first, just hold on 1 second, as William Matthews is going to get up to P1. Into Stowe. Is he going to keep this position? That's the question. A bit of a wobble there, and that opens the door for Leandro Valverde. He's going to have the inside line into the Vale chicane. Isn't able to capitalise as we do see drivers diving into the pits now. A lot of drivers have done. As it looks to be raining. Was that a speckle of rain? It is! Oh my God. 2 drivers making the very early call to drop in for the wets. Vince Vincenza and Lex Hodd. Vince immediately onto the intermediate tyres. What is Lex going to put on? He's also going to put on the inters. Is it too soon? That is the question here. And this is a disaster for them if it is too soon, because they'll burn through those tyres very quickly. If the rain starts getting heavier quicker though, it'll look like an absolute masterstroke. As Dougie Man gets another 3-second time penalty. And that looks to be Leandro Valverde who's gone off the track. I think a bit of contact there from Brooklands between himself and William. As Dougieman's retired from the session. And that's going to bring out the safety car, and you kind of have to feel for Vince and Lex here. That's absolutely screwed them over. as they pit early. They made the brave call to pit early to go on to the intermediate tyres, and the rain is fairly spitting now, and I expect the whole field to pit. And the question is, are Vince and Lex going to be able to capitalise on this? I don't think they are, because the drivers in front of them are going to do it with a reduced pit stop time. So a bit of a pause in the action now after an opening skirmishes. Some great stuff so far, as we do indeed see everyone diving into the pits. Who will get a 10-second time penalty for not adhering to the speed limit? Speaking of the devil, William Matthews does straight away. Disaster for them. Everyone's going to pit here. And just to make matters worse for Aston Martin, the double stack as well is going to happen. Goes from bad to worse. Bit of a questionable rejoin there. And no drivers electing to stay out in the slicks. Everyone going on the wets or the intermediates. Now, are Vince and Lex going to get ahead of some of these drivers? They're going to get ahead of quite a few of them. So not a complete disaster, but they're going to be racing that kick, whoever that is. I think it's Leandro. So Dan Dale has really benefited from that, and Regan McKinnon too, and Gustav Schubert. All these drivers have benefited greatly from that safety car, as Vince and Lex were both ahead of them. And just because of the timing, they're the losers. Gustav and Regan are the winners, and that's just racing, folks, in F1. You win some, you lose some, unfortunately. We're just going to wait for the full grid to catch up with the safety car, and we will be back racing ever so shortly, and I'm going to give my voice a rest. If you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. We are halfway through round 1 of F2 in season 13 of Ero. If you haven't subscribed to the Ero channel, can you please do so you can know when we're racing. As Joel Harris, True Streamer Boy, says he wishes he could be participating today. Joel's currently away with his family on holidays. We hope you have a great time, mate. Enjoy the good weather if you have some. And we'll see you back on the track soon. Lex says to Vince that he thinks they made the right choice. I think he did make the right choice too. I think you're just very unlucky with the safety car timing. It just sometimes happens like that. Sometimes things just pan out like this. It's beyond our control. Life is about winning and losing. And to have winners, you have to have losers. As we see Dan Dale almost lose the car there under safety car conditions. Drivers are going to try and warm up these tyres. You cannot warm them up. It just is impossible. Hello, Roswell. Hope you're preparing for your race starting very soon in 25 minutes time. Roswell Iniesta, an Ero legend who's been around for a long, long time. Good lad as well. A lot of time for him. As Lucas Safraniak has decided to leave the session yet again. Oh, and I can't invite him in either. Oh, God. I can't invite Lucas in. Oh, it's a disaster. Okay. Hello, Crystal. I hope you're preparing well for your race in F1 this evening. And hopefully Lucas is able to get back in. Lucas Safraniak has managed to rejoin the lobby. So I'm assuming this will be the last lap of the safety car. And we will get back racing, which has been pretty good up to this point, we have to be said. For all the shortcomings of this game, it does seem that the racing does seem to be a bit more action-packed. A lot more overtaking. And the safety car will be in this lap, and we see every driver doing the little wiggle, warming up their tyres as best they can. As William will get us on the way for this safety car restart whenever he is ready. The safety car is in the pit lane, so he can go whenever he feels it's necessary. He's going to try and catch the pack behind him sleeping. Hello Zeman, hope you're keeping well, mate. And William Matthews has indeed gone. Has he caught the pack sleeping? He hasn't really. And Amiibo is rapidly closing on the back of him here. And he's going to make a dive into Village. He's going to have the outside line here now. Is that going to give him a better exit? Has to give space. Looks to be relatively clean. These two are racing very, very well all day. And Amiibo straight away getting past William Matthews. And we can see the Haas of Regan McKinnon in the distance, overtaking Gustav Schubert into Brooklands for P3. Amiibo and William aren't giving this up though. Into Lutfield they go. Amiibo still not having the edge just about. Now the move is completed. Regan getting past Gustav as well. Dan still holding position in P5. With nobody around them. Zach Smith in P6 after being up the top four for so much of this race. Lex and Vince not making any headway since having the unfortunate pit stop. Joe Hamster says it's coming home. Yes, Joe, we know England won on penalties. Well done. Alex Theodore fighting with the Haas further down the field for P14. Lucas Safraniak, after being disconnected twice and having an unfortunate spin as Leandro and Zach Smith are fighting further up the field, is down in P16. Into Stowe they go. No more DRS now to save his boys. Now it's just about pure pace, tyre management and ERS strategy. ERS conservation? Usage? I don't know. However you want to say it. Dan, very close here to Gustav though. Into the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. Now on a drag race to Abbey. Give each other space, boys, as Gustav gives a lot of space there. Probably a bit more than most drivers would. Dan Dale up to P4 now. Has a bit of a wobble though out of Village. And Gustav having a bit of wobble there as well out of turn 4. Now, and that's going to compromise him as Leandro Valverde is right on his backside. Into Brooklands. Alex Theodore gets a 3-second time penalty. Lap 16 and 26. Gustav goes wide and through goes Leandro straight away into Luffield, capitalising on that mistake from Mr. Schubert. Leandro back up to P5 as his teammate is currently in P1 with William with a 2-second time penalty. Regan McKinnon very close here to William Matthews and Copps. As they go into Maggots and Beckett's, Regan going to have to stick behind just for now, showing some great pace on their opening debut for Ero. Yeah, Seaman, it looks like a good race so far. Only 3 drivers with penalties, indeed, as you said, sir. Is Regan going to make a move here? He is gaining. He's not using any battery, though. Into so he's going to elect to stay behind for just a little while longer. Leandro starting to close in onto the back of Dan Dale. Rain looks to be with us for quite a while here, ladies and gentlemen. Gustav in his own little race at the moment. Zintos and Manny fighting close together after. Oh, hold on. There's Lex and Zach switching places into the Vale chicane and out through Club. Samuel Newman up to P12 now. Overtaking Lullock. Manny into Abbey now. Lucas Safraniak back to the P16. It's just gone from bad to worse their day, unfortunately. But Regan McKinnon seems to be the driver who's posing the most threat at the moment. And Amiibo has just dropped William Matthews here. Since the rain has came, Amiibo's just shown much better pace than William. In the dry, it's a different story, but here comes Dan Dale as well, sticking his nose in it. His front wing getting very close to the diffuser of Regan McKinnon's car. Leandro Valverde has a bit of work to do to catch up with this little pack of 3. There's now some big deltas beginning to form. We had a massive DRS train of about 8 or 9 drivers at one point in this race. Now the biggest one is only 4 drivers, which is P2 to P5. And they're going through maggots and beckets at the moment in lap 17 out of 26. It's all about managing those tyres at this point now. Just being the correct strategy, as Dan is very close to the back of Regan, and Regan is very close to the back of William. William gaining ever so closely on Amiibo there, gained half a second that last lap. But as the Amiibo is a bit of a wobble there, out of club. And that's going to let William capitalise on him big time as well. He's getting another 2 or 3 tenths just from that complex of corners. As Dan very, very close then to the back of Regan. And we're going to stay with this fight just for the next sector or so. You can actually see the drivers almost sliding around turn 4 there. Great stuff here. Dan gets a good exit there. Is it good enough though to get past Regan in the Haas 4P3 on the track? Are either driver going to pull out to the right? No. Both elect to stay on to the right hand side. Into Brooklands they go. No move there. Regan is just dropped off ever so slightly. Dan has dropped off ever so slightly to Regan. And Leandro Valverde has closed up now the gap less than half a second. As we currently see it, as they're gone on the old start-finish pit straight. On the run down the Cops corner. No moves are going to be made here either. Pierre Cocula is rapidly closing in on Vince Vincenza as well for P9. But nothing seems to be happening. The race seems to be ever so slightly settling down with just 9 laps to go here. As Zintos gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. He is the 4th driver today with a time penalty. You have to remember William Matthews has a 10-second penalty. Now, speak of the devil, he's got another 3 seconds to go with that. So Williams really going to drop like a stone all the way down the standings here once this is done. Fortunately for them, because they've shown such great pace on the track today as well. Rain seems to be staying steady, consistently outpouring here in Silverstone, just outside Milton Keynes. You can see a few of the umbrellas in the grandstand. I really hope I don't have to use an umbrella tomorrow. Zeman, I hope tomorrow's race is just as interesting as well. Apparently some of the people that were camping in Silverstone this year, there's a yellow flag in Sector 1, and that looks to be Lucas Lafreniak, who's gone off again, unfortunately for them. Apparently some of the people who are camping this weekend were told to pack up their tents and leave because the grounds were too waterlogged. Interestingly enough. And General Admission Plus, which is something I've never heard of, didn't sell out, and they're refusing people to go into the area. So, but I suppose this happens every year, these shenanigans and the like. As the race finally begins to settle down now. No one looking to make any big moves at this point. No one being able to otherwise. Amiibo has been showing some great pace up to this point. He's been very consistent all race. Been on the top 4 all race. And he looks to just now drive this one home. Be consistent, be steady. No risks needed. Less than 2 seconds is the gap though. And Zintos and Pierre Cocula are fighting. Zintos getting past Pierre. The rain has actually put a bit of a damper on this race. With such great racing up to this point, and then the rain came and just put a bit of a stop to it all. Drivers being a bit more careful, drivers being a bit more aware that they can lose the car a lot easier. Samuel Newman now closing in on Pierre for P12, or P11, sorry. Dan and Regan finally fighting on the track as Dan almost comes to the contact with the back of Regan's car, and they're going to go side by side to turn 4 here onto the Brooklyn straight. A bit more contact there. Lucas Afraniak's retired from the session in the pits. That's their day over and done. Leandro getting past Regan now, and Dan and Leandro fighting into Brooklands. Now into Lutfield they go. The 3 of these drivers are going to be battling out. Lovely helicopter cam here. The Hash just on the outside here. Has to be careful not to be squeezed. decides to back out of it and change their line altogether. Leandro did give space, didn't close the door completely. Pierre and Samuel Newman fighting further down the field for P11 as there's more yellow flags in Sector 1. That's just for Lucas's retired car. Oof, we need to catch our breath after this. Now, these drivers here between P3 to P5 are going to be battling it out for the rest of this race with just a few laps to go here. William Matthews hoping to build as big a delta as possible to minimise the damage. He doesn't want to drop the whole way down to P10 or so, which is very possible. Now we see Zintos and Vince Vincenza fighting now for P9 on the track. Vince must have had a moment there coming out of Stowe by the looks of it. And Samuel Newman and Pierre are also fighting into the Vale Complex chicane. Pierre taking a lot of curb there, and that compromises into Samuel in the Mercedes coming out of club onto the Lewis Hamilton straight. Now into Abbey they go. Pierre's going to have to give this one up just for the time being. Leandro Valverde now. Here he comes, making a charge on Dan Dale. The kick driver's been very consistent all season as Dan is mowing the grass. That was an okay rejoin, but that's going to compromise them a few places then. Lex Hod is recovered up to P5. Himself and Gustav Schubert are also fighting Dan Dale at the moment. Three of these drivers now locked in a battle for the rest of this race with just 6 laps to go. Amiibo has a nice little healthy gap of just over 2 seconds. Same as William on Leandro. Regan closing in though. Looks like the rain hasn't eased up at all. It might be getting actually slightly heavier. It's definitely intermediate weather out there. Is there going to be full wet? So that is the question. And we see Dan closing into the back of Gustav, into Stowe. He's going to have the inside line, but Gustav is including him a lot of space, closing the door there. All looks reasonably clean. Everyone knows what they're doing in this tier. They all look to be pretty screwed on. Have to be careful on the traction in this area here. And Dan is indeed careful. Into Abbey these two go now. So at this point here, as there's no DRS, it's just about pure pace in the wet weather conditions. And I think the top three is going to remain as it is unless there's any big surprises now between now and the end of the race. Just a couple more laps to go. And every driver just seems to be quite content with how this race has went for them. At this point, no one overdriving or pushing too hard. Dan Dale and Gustav are going to be fighting towards the end of this race. I think both of those are just preparing for that battle now at the moment. However, Lex Hod, Gustav goes very wide there at the cops. Lex Hod has to be careful in here now. He doesn't want to lose P5 to the drivers in front. Zintos is a quite disappointing race for them after starting so far up front. He's dropped all the way down to P9, but however he is closing on Zach Smith here on the hanger straight. He's going to have the inside line into Stowe. Is he going to make the move stick? That's the question. He does. He flies by him. Is the slipstream powerful in the wet? And Samuel Newman up to P10, battling with Vince Vincenzo. Once again, Vince has elected to remain behind and not make a dive there, with Pierre Cocula right behind him. Loic Magenet, not the best of starts for his Ero career, down in P13, just outside the points positions. We pay 12 drivers points in Ero. Now, Regan McKinnon, one of the closest drivers to his rivals on the track at the moment, also Dan Dale and Zach Smith. As Pierre and Vince battling it out on the track for P11. Just a handful of laps to go here. I think the winner is going to be set. I think second place is going to be set, in a manner of speaking. But if you're Regan McKinnon here, You're going to be on the podium in your debut. It's going to be a great showing. Can he get P2? That is the question. He is closing on Leandro, but Leandro's got so much more battery here. I just don't think it really matters. As everybody is just gone into maintenance phase now by the looks of it. Happily just going to take their points from today. No need to be a hero, no need to risk anything at this phase of the race. And we will indeed see our current leader, Mr. Amiibo, passing on for lap 24 of 26. Just a couple more laps to go. F1 will be starting straight after this on the YouTube channel for those of you that are interested in watching more action around Silverstone. And William has begun closing in on Amiibo with all the penalties. Maybe he'll try and get the 10-second removed. It's going to be a bit too little too late. Really closing in though. Making some gains here. Regan still sticking with Leandro to capitalise on any mistakes that they make. Same with Gustav and Lex, but that's really it. Samuel Newman closing in on Zach Smith for P9. As Samuel Newman now gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. They're really going to have to push if they want to keep that P11 or P10, sorry. Interesting start to the season for them. William now, the race seems to be coming to him because he is gaining. It is a bit too late. And we entered the penultimate lap here. As Callum Lyons is still celebrating England winning. Congratulations, Callum, to England. Deserved winners after not barely scoring a goal. As bad as France almost at this point. Samuel Newman not able to get away from Pierre Kakula. And speaking of Samuel Newman, I think he's actually after having a moment. He is indeed. And that's going to lead Loic Mane getting past him. Loic goes miles off the track too, though. And they're going to be fighting for this last points paying spot. However, Regan McKinnon, Dan Dale gets a 3-second time penalty as well. That's going to cement P7 for him. However, Regan McKinnon now, has he got enough battery here? I don't think he has, because Leandro's got so much more. As we're coming up to the last few parts of this race, the battle for P2 though is well and thoroughly on. With just another 6 kilometers to go, another lap, as Zintos gets another 3-second time penalty. And Alex Theodore gets a 3-second time penalty as well. 7 drivers with track limit violations. William Matthews also with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. We'll just have a look at that. So Zintos with 6 seconds, Alex with 6 seconds as well. Manny getting past Samuel Newman for P12 on the track. And Amiibo, it has to be said, up 9 positions from the start here. Regan staying with Leandro, though he's gotten a penalty now as well. And that's going to be all she wrote, folks. It's going to be a kick 1-2, which is something we'd never say in real life. Alex Theodore getting past Samuel Newman and Loic as they begin their final lap. But it's been the Amiibo show all day. Very, very good stuff from them. The two kick drivers were never out of the top 4 since lap 1. And they've developed a good understanding between them. A dominating performance here. If this is what it's going to be like all season from them two, they're going to be battling it out for both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. William Matthews is going to be giving Amiibo a bit of a run to his money to the end of the line. Maybe a bit of a dive towards the end into the Vale, but he elects not to. As a yellow flag in Sector 2, it looks like the Williams of Pierre has gone off. I'll tell you now in 1 second. As William Matthews does serve his 10-second time penalty. But it's going to be Amiibo on P1, Leandro Valverde P2, Lex Hodd will come home to take P3 on the track, Gustav Sherbert P4, Regan McKinnon P5 on his debut, William P6, Dan Dale on his return to ERO in P7, Zach Smith on his debut in P8, Pierre Cocula in P9, Vince Vincenza P10, Samuel Newman will take P11, no he won't, Loic Mageni will take P11, Samuel Newman will take P12, and that will round out the rest of our points finishers. William not too happy with the result in the end, as Amiibo deservedly gets driver of the day. And that will round out F2. F1 is starting just now if you want to hop over to the next video on our channel. Just to round out the remaining grid. Amiibo P1, Valverde P2, Lex Hodd in P3. There are your podium finishers. Gustav Sherbert P4, Regan McKinnon P5, William Matthews is P6, Dan Dale P7, Zach Smith P8, Pierre Cocula P9, Vince Vincenza P10, Manny, Newman, Alex, Mr. Haas driver, Zintos, Lucas Safraniak, Dougie Man, Lugotza, Ken T, Callum Lyons round out the rest of the grid. Tune in next week where we will be in Canada for F2. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your weekend.